want to know what Evan was going to say about the 21st century.
Oh yeah, me too.
I want to know where it was going. Little bits of Evan wisdom are really what gets me through the day.
Okay, no, but I think a lot of
You know what we call those, Jack? We call those little blasts of knowledge.
Little blasts of insight.
They're actually called doorways into Evan's intellect.
Excellent.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Live Connection podcast. I'm Evan. This is Graydon. This is Matt, and that's Jack, as you probably know, 'cause if you've hopefully been watching every podcast up to this point.
Yeah.
Jared's the man behind the computer right now. You can't see my finger, but he's over there.
Yeah, he's in that direction.
Yeah, we're just gonna shoot the shit. But before the camera came on, we were talking about women as people do, as the boys do when they're all together.
I hear women sometimes talk about women as well.
Women also
true.
talk about women sometimes, and sometimes women will talk about men, and sometimes
Scandalous.
you can talk about anybody. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But we were specifically talking about women, and we were talking about what happens if. How can I put this in vague terms? What happens if you're, say, going on dates with multiple women at the same time, but you're not actually exclusive to any of those women? You know, you're not,
Go on, yep.
You're not Halo.
I'm following.
You're not like Halo to Microsoft or nothing or anything like that. But
Just to put it in gamer terms, because gamers don't understand how dating works.
Can you say this in leet speak, please?
Yeah.
Please.
But anyways, so what I was going on is if you're dating multiple women and you're not actually committed to any of them, once you get committed to somebody, you find an actual connection and you actually like enjoy spending time with them, is it wrong that you were dating multiple women before you committed this one and now you're no longer doing that? Is that a bad thing?
No.
I think in the 21st century, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way dating works.
Yep.
And like, even if it comes down to like you went on a date and you kissed somebody and then
It's like, you go on one, okay, but let's set the scene here. You go on a single date, then you're out with some friends with that same person you went on a date with, and then you kiss, and you're like, okay, cool, I've got somewhat of a connection with this girl. And then that girl leaves, and you just go and you make out with like the next woman who comes along into your peripheral vision immediately after.
No,
I
that's
feel
not
like
what
that's-
happened.
that's still okay,
I mean,
though,
I
'cause
don't
you
know. I
haven't
don't know
made any
who or what we're
commitments.
talking about, but I know that that's not what happened.
You haven't made any commitments at that point.
okay, regardless. Let's
Are
structure
you the right
question.
one to be talking about this, Graydon?
What's wrong with it?
Do you remember what happened that one time?
Yeah, that's fine. I still don't see anything wrong with what I did.
Okay.
Let's restructure the question.
I've got a bit of a cold, so I might go into like coughing fits when I laugh.
If you would go on a date with somebody and let's say you kiss them at the end and you have a great time together, is it still wrong, even though you're not exclusively dating and you still want to go on more dates to figure out if you want to be committed to them, is it wrong for you to go out later that night and have sex with somebody else? Is that wrong?
Here's the thing, from my perspective, though. This is just an insight into Jack's life. Having one woman be attracted to me is an extremely rare occurrence. So being able to fucking wheel and deal multiple women is not something that even passes through the trajectory of my mindscape. It does not happen. So as soon as one is involved, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna I'm putting all my eggs in this basket.
Yeah.
This is what's happening today.
You're all
Well, I
in.
mean,
Yeah.
I've never been in that scenario either. Like,
I'm
not in
having
today's.
all-
No,
all
not in
women
today's.
come to me. Oh.
I've never been like an adult and in the adult dating scene in my life. You know.
Are you not an adult dating another adult?
What are you
currently?
dating?
I am an adult dating another adult at this current moment.
I thought you were dating a child.
Please God, not again. No. Cut this out. Okay,
Cut the whole episode.
No, Graydon making freaking jokes again. But as I was saying,
We're gonna get one of those like
I've never
memes
been in the dating
of the
scene.
SWAT team coming in.
When you're in the dating scene, it doesn't mean you're actually dating somebody. It means you're just looking to date people, or you're single, or you're bachelor, you're doing whatever. I'm not in that scene. I'm not on Tinder. I've never been on Tinder. I'm not on Bumble. I'm not on Humble. I'm not on Grindr. I'm not on any of that. So I just like all I can give you is my observations of what it's like and the things I believe in, that I feel like if I was in that environment, the things I'd probably, my values as I go into there.
Okay.
So but you know what? This is just for me, this is just a mind experiment. What's the word? A mind exercise, creativity exercise, because I'm not in that scene. I'm safe from it all.
A thought experiment, if you will.
As you will. Yeah. If
Excellent.
you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
may.
I mean, like, obviously, like, the culture behind dating has shifted a lot from, like, what we thought it was traditionally or what it was maybe in high school and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I just don't see a problem with it. Like, unless, if you were on a date with a person and you were so unbelievably, like, in love with this person after this date, then maybe you would feel like it was cheating on them. But I mean, if it's just a date and you're just seeing where things going and you're like trying to see if you have an interest in this person, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to take the information from this date and see and think about it after a while, but then you go hit the clubs that night and have a little bit of fun, then, you know, you're
just living life at
what's
that
the
point.
problem?
But then I guess
you know?
you have to extend it, is if you actually ended up dating this person in the future, in like 4 years, would this be something that if it was brought up, you would break up over, you know?
No.
Is it one of those things that's bad?
Yes, Jerry says yes.
Jared's nodding his
nodding
head.
a lot.
Well, it does matter
You
because
say you made out with a chick that one time when we went on one maybe date.
no, but the thing is, that's still your first date with that person, right?
Yeah.
You
It
pursue the
doesn't-
relationship.
If it is the first, okay. If it's a random date and if it's a first date, I feel like are two different beasts.
No,
Here.
Jerry's
All
coming
right.
in.
Jared's coming in.
I feel like if someone's not comfortable with that, they probably shouldn't be in the dating scene. I'm talking to you guys.
Wait, so you're saying that if someone's not comfortable with someone kissing someone after their date, they should just not ever date anybody?
Like if you're not like exclusive, if you're not like you haven't what?
So, okay,
If just because like you may, and you have to establish that with someone, but just because you may not do that yourself doesn't mean if you're not exclusive that you can hold it against someone else for doing that. Really.
Sure. What I'm gathering from this is that it's very personal to certain people. I guess to you guys, it's like, yeah, whatever. I had sex and made out with somebody while I was also like starting to date you. To me, that's fine. But to other people, it's like, no, that's not fine, right? We don't know.
Well, I mean, that depends on your line of starting to date. Like if I consider,
no, but that's different for other people.
Yeah.
Let's say you go on a few dates with a girl, but you're also like doing stuff outside of those dates with other girls, right? And then that comes to light later down in the line in your relationship with maybe this girl you started seeing, and you think that's totally okay, but the girl doesn't think it's okay. That's a
Yeah.
pretty big hurdle in the relationship, right?
I don't think so. I think it would be upsetting, but I don't think, like, if you broke up over to that, then I think that would just
But
be
people do that all the time.
Then-
People absolutely do that all the time.
I mean, I don't know.
People break up over the fact that like they find out that their partner slept with X many people, you know?
Yeah. People
So,
break
it's
up
not
because they
outside the
find
realm.
Belle Delphine's bathwater in their mail. And they're like, what the fuck is this?
I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard someone went to the hospital for drinking that bath water.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or
I don't
not.
think so.
Jared! And I swear to God, don't put half naked Bella Delphine on the camera, but look up to see if someone actually got sick and went to the hospital.
I don't
from
think
it.
so. I saw a fake news
You're
article.
gonna want to put it on the webcam. You're gonna want to bring Google to you first, and keep us on the webcam to make sure it stays PG.
Anyways,
That's called professionalism.
Anyways,
I lost my straw.
I did see a fake news article saying 50 people got herpes from it, but again, that was a fake news article.
Yeah.
Say Belle
It's
Delphine bathwater man sent to hospital.
I don't know.
I don't think the U.S. Postal Service is fast enough to get Belle Delphine's bathwater out to like a bunch of satisfied customers just yet.
And I think she's from the UK, so
Oh, is she?
yeah. But then again, Amazon Prime.
is this the chick that? Yeah, that
Person
chick,
got
yeah.
admitted. Hit that first link on Reddit 3 days ago.
She's a genius, by the way. She was really smart.
Oh, she's so smart. No, don't hit those. Yeah, hit that one. Hopefully, if not, just blur it. Call Felix.
Oh, this is the PewDiePie submission subreddit.
Oh, is it? Okay, where is it? Go up. It's usually at the top. 9-year-olds. Okay, click the picture and see if. Just
Nope.
Are we?
brings us.
Have you ever
what's
used
this
the
actor's
internet?
name again?
I don't know.
Okay, this means nothing. This is just someone writing it and then putting Call Phoenix in.
Again,
Yeah.
I don't think any of this
Source
is
or
happening
stop
yet.
sharing fake news. It's fake. Okay,
Yes.
it's fake.
Nobody's
No,
gone to the
Jared,
hospital.
Jared, I swear, don't.
Jared.
Just
Jared.
stop. Turn off the camera right now
Just-
before you regret it.
Hey,
I
can
mean,
you go
she's
to her
never done
Pornhub?
anything nude, from what I understand.
Nope.
But
Literally, her Twitter banner is like fuzzy, like not even like a censorship fuzzy, like a post edit here, and here. I don't even know how you can get away with that.
Because there's no nip or vag.
yeah,
It's everything else, but there's no nip or vag.
And also, she's famous, so the
Yeah.
internet lets her do whatever she wants. She's famous and
Yo,
attractive.
did you guys hear that in the UK, if you have over 30,000 followers, you're considered a celebrity now?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know there was a legal definition
Yeah, I
of
don't think
celebrity.
There's like, yeah, because they made it a thing. So like when you go into, I don't know, if you go into a restaurant, and something,
Yeah.
you'd be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll promote your stuff, and like that's like the level that they've like
Yeah.
agreed upon. The
Yeah,
line
that's
that
how
they've
you.
drawn.
That's how you become eligible for the celebrity discount at Nando's.
So
is there actually a thing for that?
So say I run like an Instagram account for a hardware store in Yorkshire or something like that in the United Kingdom, and I run the tightest fucking ship for this hardware store. People love my nails. They love my wooden boards or whatever. They love my insulation, and I get like a ton of followers. I passed the 30K mark. Am I a celebrity hardware store influencer?
I guess so.
Technically,
as
yeah.
long as your face is in it.
Cool.
I think
Yeah.
celebrity's important, the term for legal definition, because if someone were to kill you, I think if you're a celebrity, it's considered assassination. I think.
Oh.
But if you're not a celebrity or
Then
a
it's just
politician,
regular old
then it's
murder.
just straight. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
murder.
Hey, Jared
Nothing
Bear,
cool.
can you do me a favor? Can you switch the layout so that Peter's desktop comes up on the screen just for a second?
No, don't.
There's
No,
nothing
no, no,
wrong
no.
with this.
Just for a second.
This
Well,
is some
I should
wholesome
preface.
family
that I don't
movie.
think Peter actually put this as his desktop. If that
Just
gives you a
change
bit
it
of
to the one
background.
screen that you'd show the internet on, because it's
Yeah.
just going to show that.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, and then can you put Google back over it so I don't have to look at it
Big
anymore?
fan of Scooby Doo.
Is that too much to ask?
Do you want us to look at something?
No, I like it's really distracting. For some
this
reason,
is distracting you.
yeah, my eyes just go right to Daphne's hand on Velma's ass.
That's,
like,
That's not
that's
really
where my
Daphne.
eyes go.
It's not really Velma.
oh.
What?
Oh, now
Okay.
it's better.
let's debate this because I find this kind of interesting.
Okay,
If
let's.
these people are dressed up as the characters that they are,
Yeah.
does that not mean that they are identifying as those characters? Therefore, we should call them those characters, even if they're not actually those
I think you
characters.
can refer to them, but I don't think they're actually the characters. Because one, they're not paid in a movie to be the character, and two, they're not the cartoon character.
Yeah.
If I
or
dress up
anything
as
like
Santa
that.
Claus, does that make me an 800-pound jolly man who breaks into houses and
Is he
delivers
is
joy?
800
Is
pounds
he-
cannon?
No,
I don't know.
No, it depends on whether you're looking at the biblical lore or the Santa Claus law.
Yeah, I have a feeling, Matt, with this argument, if you were to dress up as Jesus and walk into a church, you guess what?
Fall to your knees.
It's not the second coming of Christ.
You own that church now. That is your house.
Yeah, you just okay.
No, I think
Yikes.
I think only the people that are like, you'd have to be paid, or you have to be part of like some sort of media to be considered that
Hey,
character,
Jerry,
right?
can you switch it back now?
Not any. Like, think about Spider-Man. Not any random schmo just becomes Spider-Man. We only know 3 real life Spider-Mans, and that's Tom Holland, that's Andrew Garfield, and that's Tobey Maguire. You know, no
Right.
one else has considered them, even though freaking, like, look at what's his name, Nicolas Cage. There's photos of when he was gonna be Superman way back in the day. There's photos of him dressed as Superman, but he's not considered one of the actors that has played Superman, because
True.
he hasn't actually played
But
Superman.
if you're an actor and you're getting paid to portray a character, that doesn't make you legally Spider-Man.
But it does make you part of that character's history, so I think it does make you that
Yeah,
character.
and I suppose like Tom Holland versus some schmuck walking down the street in a Spider-Man onesie, like who would you identify as Spider-Man? Like if I was talking to somebody and they're like, "Who the heck is Tom Holland?" I'm like, "Spider-Man."
Yeah.
he plays Spider-Man.
Yeah, he played
So,
Spider-Man.
guys, Morgan Freeman has portrayed God himself.
Yeah.
So does that mean Morgan Freeman is part of the New Testament?
Yeah.
Whenever you
I
read
sure
the
hope
Bible,
so.
Morgan Freeman is God. He is legally God.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Not in the... okay,
He's working his
Yeah.
way there.
He's.
I'm trying not to offend anybody.
Good luck.
Okay. Well,
were
that's
you-
a good way to start.
Were you about to ask if Morgan Freeman got canceled?
No, I was...
No.
No. I'm trying to put it in... I'm trying not to say... I'm trying to say...
God.
All
Tell
right,
us what
we'll
you think
cut
of
all
his
this out.
fictions.
Does it matter if it's a fictitious character? And that's the offending part.
Right.
But,
What does what matter?
like, I don't know, because, like,
Is
God is, like, not really...
Is God real?
There you go.
Is God...
Ding, ding, ding,
Listen,
ding,
God
ding,
might
ding,
not
ding.
be real, but Spider-Man? Spider-Man's legit.
Hey,
Spider-Man
Okay,
exists.
but okay, I understand what you mean by like God is like, if you look at it, depending on what you believe in, God is technically, if you believe in atheism, if you're an atheist, God is a fictitious character.
Correct.
And in that sense, you would say like, yes, then dressing up as God makes you God by what argument is. But like God is like, well, God is like a fictitious character. He's not the mind of like a single person. He's like a group's belief. And I feel like it's different if it has to do with a belief. Like that you classify those creations as something different than like a pop culture icon, you know? The religious icons, they're not pop culture. And I think this only applies to like pop culture characters.
I'm sorry,
Or, like,
you don't believe in Spider-Man? He
No.
saved the people of New York countless times, and you don't believe in
yeah,
him?
but there's no like legitimate like church of Spider-Man.
Well, maybe
You
there
don't
should
know
be.
that.
that
You
literally
don't know that.
billions of people
Jerry.
follow.
Jared's doing some hard-hitting research. What about
Morgan-
like actual historical figures?
Mussolini, for instance.
Is Will Smith Muhammad Ali? Is he legally Muhammad Ali
Well,
since
no,
he portrayed Muhammad Ali in a movie?
I feel like it's different.
Dude, Steve
And maybe
Carell
this is,
was
maybe this is actually kind of where I'm going
Noah.
for, where it's like if this is a person who's a real person, which in a sense you can say God is real because God has had real effect on history
Sure.
throughout time. So you can kind of say like God is real in that sense. So like I don't think it can apply to that because there can only if they were a thing that actually existed in real life, then only that person can actually be considered that. Morgan Freeman's not God because God is God, you know? But
Why is-
anybody can be Shaggy because there is no real Shaggy, you know? There's no, like, there's never been an actual Shaggy.
But anybody can portray God as well because Morgan Freeman did it.
Yeah, but that, they can portray him, but that doesn't make Morgan Freeman, like, God. Whereas Tom
Yeah, but-
Holland portraying Spider-Man,
It doesn't
makes
make
him
Tom
Spider-Man.
Holland Spider-Man.
real
though.
quick.
I feel like
real
it
quick,
does, though.
Real quick. Jerry's doing some research here, and he searched church, and the first autofill was churches near me.
Hot churches in your area.
like Willem Dafoe is the Green Goblin. He was the Green Goblin. He's our only. Actually, no,
That's not
false.
true. But
Actually,
it may
yeah.
as well be, though.
He is like one of the main live action versions of that character, right? Just as how like who's the Joker? There's been multiple Jokers.
Yeah.
But like when you why is his hand down his pants?
No, don't worry about it.
What kind of
All right.
That's a good one. You better like that.
He's on Peter's.
Peter can like it.
Follow the page.
Go, get out of there. Get out of there. Close the whole page.
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Okay, back to the argument.
Now your argument's stupid. Let's move on.
So in this scenario,
God.
in this nightmare scenario that Evan has pointed
We're
out,
offending so many
where
people.
where God is real but also not real, and also Morgan Freeman. Does that mean there's 3 Spider-Mans? Does that mean Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and the other guy?
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. All right, Spider-Man, yeah.
So there's 3 Spider-Men.
There's 3 real
real Spider-Man people.
3 actors who have played Spider-Man in live-action films that people consider to be Spider-Man. But no one looks at Morgan Freeman and says, oh, that's Spider-Man. And I think that's...
You're correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
I think that's the first real point you've made this entire time.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning of this argument. Matt was asking if dressing up as a character makes you that character, and I think what we've come to what my thing is that you have to be one. It has to be like a pop culture icon where it's a big role where when you play it, people consider you as that character now.
People identify you with that character.
They identify you as that character.
Yeah.
So that makes you it. Morgan Freeman, yes, he played God in Evan Almighty and Bruce Almighty, but that wasn't like it's still an iconic character for him. Like, people do recognize that. So I guess, yes, it does make him God to those people, you know?
Sure.
I feel like you have to be thought of as that character in order for you to be that. This guy, he dressed as Fred at one Halloween party, and I bet you one drunken chick probably thinks of him, that was Fred.
Yeah.
Like, she probably doesn't even know his real name. She probably just refers to him, or anyone that hooked up with him at the party probably refers to him as Fred, or anyone that remembers him.
Yeah.
But not fully. You know? You have to have someone remember you as that. But I think if you have such a huge group of people remember you as that character, that makes you the character, you know?
Miles Morales is a part of the story, though. That's not a real person.
Yeah, Miles Morales is like the new Spider-Man. He's the fictitious character. You gotta look who voiced him.
I don't know. It's just
time to let Parker go.
It's just this whole argument just makes it seem like you can't separate reality from fiction in a strange way, which obviously you can.
But I think the question is at what point do you become that character? In a sense, when do people associate with you with that character? I think that's the only way you can really say it.
This is what this argument that we're having. This is all going through Fred's mind right now. That's why he's thinking. He's thinking so hard about it.
Like, is it Daphne and Velma making out?
My friends,
or is it Karen and Susan making out? I can't decide. What do you think, Fred?
Am I Fred or am I Jake?
No, that's a Chad if I've ever seen that.
Chad.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's interesting because there's so many characters that have been played by an actor to the point where I almost feel like they're synonymous. Think Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., or Peter Quill, Chris Pratt,
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe. You see them. So even though they could act in literally anything else, Robert Downey Jr. his acting career might continue for a while after the Marvel Cinematic
That's
Universe.
Probably why he stopped.
Yeah,
Marvel,
but are you ever really gonna see him and not think that's Tony Stark? Especially since his public persona is just Tony Stark, basically.
And that's
but there's a difference between identifying somebody as something and them actually being it.
Yeah, but I understand that, but people even have hard time getting jobs afterwards. Daniel Radcliffe's a great example. He literally struggles used to in real life getting roles because people couldn't not associate him as Harry Potter, and he got anybody that gets typecasted. That's essentially what happens to them. They become that character that people remember them for, and it affects them in real life. So you can say that if they are identified as something, they are perceived as something, and that thing they are perceived as actually causes things to happen to them in real life because of that, then I think you can say that they are that character.
It doesn't make the character real, though.
It doesn't make the character itself real, but it makes the connection between the characters real.
I did say identify, which is a little different than bringing them into reality. I'm not trying to present the idea that now when they dressed up in their Halloween costumes as Scooby-Doo characters,
they
were bewitched.
Traps in 5 seconds to catch a ghost.
All of a sudden they're just it's like when a character gets brainwashed in a movie, and all of a sudden they're just now I'm
yeah.
Where's Shaggy and Scooby? Let's go solve mysteries. You know, that would be really funny though. That would actually make Halloween so much more exciting.
What was that? Is it
Halloween Town.
Halloween Town.
Halloween Town.
The Halloween
Revenge
movie?
of Calabar. That happens.
Yeah.
They wear masks and then they turn into
And
the
then they turn into the
monster.
actual
There's a
things,
Treehouse of Horror Simpsons episode where it happens too. Like somebody does something and all of the people that are in their Halloween costumes become their characters, and half of them are really stoked about it because they're like Spider-Man and Jedis and stuff, and the other half are like just like blocks and stuff, so they're not excited.
It's funny. All right, moving on. Jerry, I have a medical question for you.
Oh yeah, I forgot to remind you of this. Yeah.
Come on in.
Here, I'll switch you,
Do you
dude.
want to switch with me? Because I kind of want to eat my burrito.
Oh, yes.
Thank
Matt's off the podcast now.
That's off the podcast.
You got a burrito to eat.
Oh, Matt, you gotta monitor that. Actually, you can't just take a day off. Actually, no, Matt, I'm gonna do it. You gotta get off. But I want to eat my. No, I know
guys.
how to do it.
Welcome to the Jack and Braden show.
Yeah.
Man, you're gonna make me look even smaller. And Matt's back.
All right, how's it look?
I mean, it looks
that
alright.
burrito was delicious.
Good.
Yeah, no, it was quick.
Okay.
All right,
Welcome
so
back.
I was watching a video today about tattoos and tattoo removal.
Yeah.
So like a tattoo is essentially just like chunks of metal, of different types of metal depending on the color is what I learned. Ink, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
That's like bigger pardon me, bigger than what your white blood cells can like attach and like drag out through your liver and bowel system.
Okay.
Until you get the laser removal, which literally just breaks down these particles to a small enough size where the white blood cells can do that.
Okay.
So my question to you is, when you have a tattoo and your white blood cells are constantly trying to get rid of that tattoo and it can't, it's just biting or fighting or breaking it down bit by bit, and that's why tattoos fade, to get rid of this foreign debris in your system, are you technically weaker or more susceptible to things because your white blood cells are busy and preoccupied with other things?
No, your body would probably just adapt to them being there. It would just adapt. If it's a foreign body that's not leaving, it would just adapt.
Oh.
After a while, it'd be like, this guy's not going anywhere. Let's get out of here.
Pretty much,
Yeah, fuck this.
pretty much it'd be essentially, yeah, it's like, oh, this isn't harming me, so it's not important.
I was also under the impression that that's not how tattoos work. It's just the pigments penetrate to a deeper skin level.
Yeah,
So
you're not
yeah.
near the bloodstream, and like you are. There's blood, obviously.
Yeah.
There is capillaries in the skin, but it's like you're not. It's not like you've intruded through the final layer of skin.
Yeah.
It's not like they're injecting it underneath your skin into your muscle, and then it's going.
Yeah, and the fading is just a result of the body's natural process of like shedding skin and replacing skin cells and stuff like that.
This was
is what I
all
under the
explained to me
impression
on by
of. Was it by
what-
Snapchat?
No, what's his name? I want to say Destin, Smarter Every Day. That dude, very knowledgeable. And he went and he had his research done. He went to the experts, and this was all from him.
This core?
What?
What?
Thing I have in front of you right here?
No. Dustin from Smarter Every Day. He made a
Is it a YouTube video?
Yeah, YouTube video about it.
I mean, I take medical stuff at the same time. I don't focus specifically on tattoos, so I can't tell you.
This would be a
Yeah.
question for a dermatologist.
I
Yeah.
can't tell you exactly.
There it is.
From Lisa something, PhD, and I can't. Why is the screen so shitty?
So basically, what they're doing is to my understanding, based on this, is they cause like the laser causes a trauma, which causes your body to react to it. If that's what that's saying, and then your immune system like attacks that area because it's caused an irritation to the body.
Right, but so does getting the tattoo.
Yeah, but with the difference being, if a molecule is too big, they'll break it down and be slowly. But Jack's right; it's mostly based on shedding skin.
yeah.
It would be because it's not underneath your skin.
I think you should watch the video and report back. It's not that I don't believe you, but like I just want you to get all the pieces.
Every bit,
together.
like majority of dust on the ground is dead
Skin,
skin,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you're constantly shedding skin, then your tattoos are gonna fade because there are multiple layers of skin that are penetrated by ink. So it's not just It's not like it's a random hole in your body now that's become just ink. It's skin that's like dyed with ink.
Yeah.
So if you shed skin, you're shedding those particles.
Well, they also has to penetrate deep enough so that you don't shed your tattoo off.
Well, then it wouldn't fade.
Well, then the white blood cells are coming at it.
Here's the mistake that you're making, Graydon. You just because Jared is pre-med, which means he's not a doctor at all. Jared, I'm trying to stick up for you, bud. Jared, I'm trying to stick up for you, bud, because literally you have somewhat more of a nuanced medical knowledge than any
Jared
of us.
is pre-med.
any of us? Oh wait, he's not actually pre-med. Is
Hey,
that
Evan,
the
you're
joke?
also pre-med. Can you tell me?
Well, as a pre-med student, I can tell you.
I just like for some reason everyone's like, hey, Dr. Dick, can you explain this to me?
Well,
Even
I just
this
asked him,
completely foreign
'cause
concept
he's-
to you, just because you have
It's
some
not-
sort of
it's not
experience
completely
in
foreign,
medical
because
stuff.
He does have some experience in it. He has
Yeah.
a general, not even a general, a pretty like advanced
Hey,
knowledge
how do you
of how
s-
shit
I
I
also
also
works.
fly
think
an airplane.
Graydon also made the mistake of just taking a YouTube channel at face value, though, right?
Like a YouTube channel with the fucking sources and facts and expert opinion.
Yeah, but
Excellent. Well,
like I'm just saying, based on my knowledge of the skin, how it works is that you fade tattoos because you shed the skin layer.
Okay.
Because what it does is it replaces and pushes up.
Right.
Gets rid of, replaces, pushes up,
Yeah.
gets rid of. So when you penetrate, it penetrates deep enough that it's not your top layer that's removing the tattoo. It's the lower layers, the deeper layers. There's tons of layers of skin.
tattoos last for life, and you shed skin all the time. How many? Do you have like millions of layers on your skin? Or
no, but the gun penetrates deep enough, it gets to like the bottom skin layer, which doesn't shed as quickly as the other layers.
So it never sheds then, because if it
No,
Well,
you shed some of it. It's like taking like old ink, and how like old ink, paper doesn't shed paper, but it's like old ink will fade over time. It's the same concept. You're fading it. You're not going to get rid of it. Like you may fade it to next to nothing, but it'll still be there.
Are Jerry and I the only people here who have tattoos?
Yeah. I want to
yes.
get one, but
What would you get?
that's why I don't have one.
I think we should. We should watch that video later because I generally have a lot of respect.
What's the
for,
video like, so we can throw it in the
for Smarter
description?
Every Day in their channel because they have a lot of really cool stuff. That's
Smarter Every Day.
Like very well researched.
That's actually funny. Like you said something about having sources and stuff, and Jack made some sort of sound that I interpreted as well, who gives a shit? And I really wish all of my university professors felt that way. Like, here's all these sources and information that I brought to the table.
No, the thing is with me, sources and backing up your research is very important to me. It's something that I take very seriously in a lot of the work I do. And just kind of my everyday life. I don't like just governing my life on BS.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I haven't watched the video, I'm just taking Graydon's word at face value that it's well researched. Just because something has sources and it's like well done doesn't mean those sources are accurate. Doesn't mean they got an expert's opinion that necessarily matters, right? In a lot of disciplines, there's a lot of,
Phonies?
discipline, not phonies, like people who disagree, even if
Yeah.
they're both experts in their field, right?
Yeah.
You'd rather
That's
take
that's
it
why
like
I'm
both
saying.
opinions.
Like after this, we should go watch the video and we should
And
cite
we,
it.
and we
like
will,
you said.
because you've piqued my interest enough that I want to watch it, so
Yeah.
I will watch it.
So I'm curious, what for you, Jack? Like, when would you feel satisfied about something you learn? Like, how deep do you go? Because from what you're saying, it sounds to me like you could have an article, go into the sources, look at those. Clearly, you got to make sure those sources are correct, right? So maybe they're sourcing more material. How deep do you go before you think it's valid?
If I'm not, well, I'm going to say this right up front. I'm not an expert on anything in the world. There are certain things that I'm fairly knowledgeable about.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on anything. So if I am doing research, the most important thing to me is that the research that's presented to me has been peer reviewed. Because once it's gone through peer review, then you have a pretty good idea that a good amount of scholars and people who are, experts or knowledgeable on the field have reviewed it and given it the thumbs up.
So how do you find those that research that's peer reviewed? Because a lot of stuff like that is locked behind payment, right?
Yeah, sometimes. So it is tough to find good stuff. If you're a member of a university, then you can normally get to a lot of peer-reviewed content through your university access, whatever that may be. Academic journals and magazines almost always have to be peer reviewed, and if they're not, then certain faculties will basically just discredit them. So yeah.
Another thing that they use too, along with peer reviewed, is there's a number, I forget what it's called, but there's a number that you can see how many times that article has been cited by other peer reviewed papers, and that can also add to validity of the paper for a lot of reasons. And it's the same, for any of the papers that we write in my classes, they have to be peer reviewed, and they have to have a certain number of people that have participants in the study. They can't just be like, I think for us it has to be over 100 people participating in the study for it to be valid for us to use in a paper of our own.
So what about like books? Because there's a lot of fiction or non-fiction books out there that cover a whole load of topics. When you're reading a book, are you just not gonna like take any of that at face value unless you just go to the sources and look into that? Like, how do you do that?
I mean, I don't do in-depth research on every single facet of my life that I'm reading into, right? For books, I'll give you an example. A book that I use a lot in my profession is The Oxford Companion to Wine, which is written by Jancis Robinson, who's considered one of the top experts in the field of enology and winemaking and wine study. And then the Oxford Companion to Wine is basically just an encyclopedia of different pieces of knowledge that have all been pieced together by other wine researchers and put into this book. So, and it's put out by Oxford University Press, which is pretty much the most well-known and respected academic publishing service in the world. So at that point, I feel pretty confident in a secondary source like a book. Yeah.
So a publisher, that's kind of what I'm taking from it. Is a publisher, if it's a good publisher, you can kind of feel confident in what you're reading.
And if I feel confident in the credentials of the person who is definitely an expert in their field and put the time in to do the right amount of research. If you're ever interested in any topic, Oxford University Press has a series of books called A Very Short Introduction, which is like an 80 or 100 page book that just introduces you to a topic. It's written by an expert in their field, and they're really good.
I've had to read a couple of them for some English classes that I've done before. So
cool. And there's one on just about every topic you can think of, and they're always publishing more.
Are they always on? Are they online, or you got to find them in like the bookstore?
You might be able to get them online, but they're very cheap. Like on Amazon, they're like $8 a book.
Yeah.
Cool.
That is cool.
But yeah, if it's published by Oxford University Press, I almost always feel confident in trusting what's there. But again, you should never just take anything at face value.
Yeah.
Even this conversation right now,
absolutely.
you find your own way of validating.
Well, that's what's so messy about like the way that kind of social media, is, and the way that communication in the world kind of works. Is it's so easy to spread misinformation, or it's so easy to not have a source for something and just assume that it's the truth. There's just so much. Things are just so messy. I almost don't even want to get into it. It's like
even like I do it like all the time, where like I'll see something and I won't even pay attention to it, and then later, like a week later, I'll like think of that, and I'm like, I don't even remember where I saw it, but I'm like, for some reason I feel like this happened, and I'm like, at that point I have no idea if that's even true.
And I don't know, it's just so destructive, like having the wrong piece of information swirl around. Think anti-vaxxers, right? Like that was an article from like the 1990s that was discredited like very soon after it came out, and for some reason there's still people that are subscribing to that belief, right?
And it's very insidious in like the academic community today to just like not trust experts, because it's like, oh, they're working for the government or they're getting a paycheck or whatever, so you can only listen to me, David Wolf, a guy who just posts like left-wing conspiracy theories on Facebook or whatever. You can only trust me, Ben Shapiro, or some guy from Breitbart News or whatever who just posts right-wing conspiracy theories without any validation.
With regards to the vaccination and like vaccination stuff, most of it's that they don't understand what the vaccination actually is. Like a lot of the people are thinking that they're putting a live virus in you, where it's a dead virus, and you can have reactions to it because you're putting a foreign body in your body.
Mm-hmm.
But the point of doing that is causing antibodies to be created. So it's like when people are like, oh, it gave me the flu. Realistically, it's just your body trying to get rid of the foreign body that was put in you, but adapting so that later when you get the flu, a live version of it, your body can adapt to it as quickly as it changes.
And they don't always work.
No, and it's like and that's another thing is like people think that I got the flu shot, I shouldn't get the flu. That's not the point. The point is to lessen the symptoms, the severity of the symptoms.
Yeah.
So it's like right now Australia has one of its worst flu seasons ever, like they've ever had, and at least in current times. And a lot of people are like a lot of the issue there is they also have that like non-vaccination issue. But I mean, it's not gonna. You're not immune to it. You're just lessening how the likelihood of getting it, and you're lessening how severe it is when you do get it.
Yeah. Thank you for that supplementary knowledge.
Misinformation and like pseudoscience is a huge problem in the academic community right now. I'll give you an example. I never finished my archaeology degree, but it's huge in archaeology right now. You turn on the History Channel, just about everything on History Channel is just pseudo-archaeology.
Yeah.
If you see something like ancient aliens, everything that guy says is fake. None of that shit happened. The guys who are like digging for gold or whatever and being like, this is the biggest conspiracy in the history of the United States. No, none of that shit ever happened. There's zero evidence that anything that those guys are talking about has ever happened.
Yeah.
They're not archaeologists. They're not experts. When they say they have an expert in the field on there, it's just a lie. Yeah. It's a big, big problem in the anthropology and archaeology community right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've been actually like really interested in like prehistory recently, and like I even have like, that's why I kind of asked you about that question about a book, because I am reading a book on that right now, and this PhD lady from I forget where she's from, but it's called Sapiens, the book, and it's I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm reading it, and it's a lot of cool stuff about like all the different kind of she uses a very specific like phrase of like how she says like humans are a species, but there are different like subsets, just like how there's different different kinds of dogs. They're part of the same species and they can interbreed, but they're still separate because they have their own traits. Like there was like your Neanderthals, your Homo erectus, Homo sapiens.
Oh, okay. So that's just previous incarnations of human evolution.
Well, we all evolved around the same time. We're brothers. We're brothers to them. Brothers and sisters, but not cousins. That's the way she was explaining. Anyways, that's why I asked about that. But I've been like, what I'm reading, I'm like, yeah, this is like not at all what I thought it was. Like,
yeah, it's fragmented because most people think of evolution as like a stationary line.
Yeah.
Where it's like we were Australopithecus, then we moved on to Homos, and then we are, you go from Homo erectus. Yeah, I just
Homo just means human.
I know.
And sapien means wise.
Yeah.
Neanderthal means
and Graydon's little 9-year-old brain was just like,
But no, say you take the
I'm
past
uneducated.
three.
I'm just a child at heart.
If you take the past three, like Homo erectus, and then Homo neanderthalis, and then Homo sapiens is what we are. It's not it's not like Homo erectus stopped existing, and then Homo neanderthalis, and then Homo neanderthalis stopped existing, and then we were Homo sapiens.
Yeah, we were all together. We were all existed at the same time.
Yeah.
We
were
evolved
different branches from some common source.
Yeah.
We existed at the same time. It's just through evolution, our genetics passed on. A lot of people of German descent actually still have a lot of Neanderthal DNA.
See, and that's one of the things that this lady brought up, which is why I like it. And I don't know if that makes it seem more valid, is like she'll bring up other theories. And so that's one of the theories, is that there are a lot of people in Europe, but then she also says how that brings up destructive, like racial, like it kind of fuels that racial argument that's been time and time again, where it's like we're different animals, like, so it's like this is superior to others. Because there's also another theory that there is absolutely, we are all 100% human, and that's actually right. What she says in the book is that's the leading theory, is that we're all 100% Homo sapien, and there was no interbreeding. But there is like a strong supported theory where that is the case, where it's there's still Neanderthal DNA within us, like we interbred with them.
You know that I mean, from what I understand from like the biological anthropology lectures that I sat through in university, that interbreeding would have basically had to happen.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible for it to have not. So
Yeah,
Just look at that one. What's his name? Johnny Knoxville. He did the. Most of his family was from like high up in a mountain tribe somewhere. He was like 90% inbred or something.
oh yeah.
I don't know how that factors into the conversation, but thanks, Greg.
Just a fun note that I remember.
Just fun. Hey, you guys want to talk about incest?
Johnny Knoxville rode down the mountain on a BMX. He was like, "Hi, I'm John Knoxville. Welcome to Decades."
That does just go to show you how you went to a university and you learned that from a university class, and like I'm reading it from this book, and who knows, like we can't, like yours is definitely more accredited than yours is a better source than mine. But also, that's where it exists, right? You have different opinions. You have different sources.
I will say, to your book's credit, if she's giving different opinions other than just like giving her perspective, then that's a good sign that she's like a good voice in the scientific
and
community.
It's also a good way to understand like all perspectives on a certain subject. Like you're reading a book about sapiens, you're reading a book about the evolution of humanity, so hearing different theories about it and then piecing together which one you think might be correct is also probably more entertaining than just this lady being like, this is how we evolved.
Yeah,
exactly.
And she even goes more in depth, like if there was interbreeding, it could have been where we were compatible to breed with them and create offspring with that, but then that offspring wasn't compatible to breed with whoever else was around, and then eventually they died off. No. So then that's why we'd be 100% or something like that. Like she's like broken it up into like a lot of different ways that it could have happened, and obviously they have no idea. Like there's not enough evidence out there to even figure it out because it happened 30,000 years ago.
Yeah, and that's very much outside of my wheelhouse. Like that's starting to get outside of the realm of anything I ever studied or was interested in studying. So yeah,
it's just, I just find it so cool, and it's cool to just talk about it, right?
Yeah.
I never really I didn't get into like prehistoric archaeology or anything like that, so I don't really know much about that. I didn't care much for biological anthropology or anything like that. I cared more for the like more present archaeological side, more human history. So
That's still pretty cool though.
Yeah.
I'm already registered for the last 6 classes I'm going to take in my degree, so I will never have taken an anthropology class, which after hearing what you're saying sounds like maybe a bit of a shame.
There's nothing stopping you.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to make this,
and I hated it.
Yeah. I don't want to make things any more difficult for myself. I'm basically just scraping by as it is.
Yeah.
If you don't like massive memorization math, the initial anthropology classes you have to take.
Massive memorization. Well, I don't like any kind of memorization, really.
I enjoy them.
Yeah.
A lot of memorization because Alex took the first 3.
Alex took the first 3.
No one can hear you.
Well, I was. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He'll
How
go
come
the
you won't
extra
be able to
miles
hear
for him
yourself
to be
when
heard.
it's
I was
subtitled
just going to repeat everything you said for the audience.
No, Peter's
Oh,
much
okay.
louder than you.
Yeah, Peter's usually screaming because we pissed him off.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that
correct.
you're talking about how we can't hear Jerry because he's off mic, and then you're having a fucking conversation with him. Hey,
Sorry,
hey, Jerry,
anyways,
you're dumb.
finish what you
Defend
were
yourself.
saying. Finish what you were saying.
Finish what
Are
you're
you-
saying.
were you
so
done?
we
Your
can
friend Alex?
subtitle it.
Your friend Alex?
Yeah. You turn the mic that way.
There you go. Now we can
No,
hear
I
you.
was just saying that if you don't like the large amounts of memorization,
Yeah.
anthropology isn't necessarily a stream for you because the first few classes for sure are like stupid amounts of memorization.
Yeah. Well, no type of class seems like it's for me, but I somehow make it work.
I'm
so.
all for using university for its intended purpose of learning.
Mm-hmm.
But I
thought it
find
was for sex.
I find the way that they go about it in the high stress environment that it's in, the multiple tests. I personally for me, it's not the environment that I can learn in. So when it's like comes to like, I'll talk to people, or like I'm done now, thank God. But when I'd talk to people and they would be like, "Oh, I'm taking this class because I'm really interested in that subject," and to me, I'm like I just want to get out of here. Like I don't like. I would love to take something I'm interested in, but I know I'm not going to enjoy it because I really hate the process you have to go through to learn this stuff. And at the end of the day, I feel like I don't even learn it. I get out of there and I'm like, God, thank God that's over. And then a month later, I'm like, what was that again? Like, I don't recall.
It is a struggle to the point where like it's only in the past like maybe 2 or 3, probably 2 years of school that I've been doing where I've actually really felt like I'm learning stuff, mainly because the first classes I was doing for the first while of English or my university was doing English classes, which I don't even really feel like there's much to learn. It's all just gibberish and pretending to be intelligent. But then like communications and a lot of the other stuff I've taken is like
pretending to be intelligent.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. I feel like there's just nothing to learn when taking English. But then like I do communications. I did a class called critical media studies, which I tell people pretty much turned me into a conspiracy theorist. All the stuff I was just talking about with like media and the spread of misinformation is stuff that I like worked on in my critical media studies class. Like it's only in the past little while that I actually genuinely feel like I'm learning stuff at university, you know?
Nice.
And I also have a very poor attitude to university. I'm the type of person who's like, D's get degrees, you know? Right. So like usually a lot of the time I'm thinking like, how can I put the least amount of effort into this possible and still get a decent grade, instead of how can I engage with this topic to the point where I'm going to learn
hear
something
that, future
new.
employer?
Yeah, but and I've experienced this a lot. Like I am way more engaged in work when I'm working as an engineer. I mean, I can't legally work as an engineer because I'm not legally an engineer under the guidelines. But when I am doing work that's associated with my degree, I enjoy it. I engage with it. I learn from it. I'm so much happier with it. And then when it came to school, I just hated everything.
See,
I really hated it.
That's the thing that I've noticed more and more. Maybe it's just within what I'm familiar with my parents and my job, but it seems like it doesn't really, or it's starting to matter less and less that you have a piece of paper that says you can do all this stuff. They start, like, especially where I work, like I've never went to school, but I've climbed the ladder like crazy. And it's just because, you know, I'm a good worker. I have the attitude. I know what I pay attention, right?
Here
all right, Jerry's going to come tell me I'm wrong.
No. I think that depends on the field.
Oh, 100%. Totally.
Because like for example, and I'm not saying like
I'm not saying a doctor is.
No, but that's what I mean. Like I'm saying,
Yeah.
I think it 100% depends on the field. Like for example, trades. Like I learned,
But
I'm doing my mechanics.
Exactly.
And it's like I'm an apprentice. Like I'm under, technically I'm registered under state apprenticeship as a mechanic. So if I wanted to challenge the test, I could. I'd still have to go do like a year of schooling, but I could challenge it. But it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like those kind of things I would say that learning on the job is almost more beneficial.
Yeah.
But there definitely are jobs where it's
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it used to be way more than it is now, right? Like, and then now,
more,
so now the piece of paper means less than it used to.
I also find, and I found this through my experience, and I don't know if it's, I find, unless it's like medicine, and even to a degree medicine, most degrees are more about, you getting the degree is about, hey, employers, this person can learn under high stress, fast paced environments. That's what this means. Doesn't matter what they know, they can do it. And that's all that matters. That's what I think a degree means nowadays, is that you can get shit thrown at you and you can take it and still succeed in it. And I think that's what a lot of employers want to see. You know, you've proven to them you can work hard. That's essentially it. I don't think it's all about what you learn.
Yeah. So just like, I'm going to sidetrack us a little bit here, but speaking of smarts and using your thinking brain here, I'm going to timestamp this. We're doing the Orbeez prank. Yeah, this will be the last thing. We're doing the Orbeez thing at Peter's place right now, which I hope that video comes up before this. If it doesn't, stay tuned. Orbeez. I'm just thinking of what we can do other than leave them in the bathtub and I know I brought up the cups, but I'm thinking like we fill some up and then put them upside down, just in certain places around his like middle of his room.
Like take a piece of paper and
Yeah, and then like bring it out, and then he has to clean it up somehow, right?
Poor Peter. I'm sorry,
not-
Peter. I wasn't involved. Except I'm gonna help, but I'm not involved.
Yeah. I just want to know, Peter. I showed up after the job was done. I didn't know what was going on.
There's still more to do.
I would have. I would have.
Matt's gonna help.
I'm.
It's gonna be a good time.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to the podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying tuned in. We took you for a roller coaster. It was a very educational.
very-
I
That's
think we
sophisticated.
showed
Yeah.
our capacity as intelligent, thoughtful, thinking men of thoughts.
And also, you can date multiple women at a time and you'll have no repercussions in your relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what these educated men bring to you today.
I'm gonna need
Thanks for
to see
watching.
some peer review on that.
Also,
Bye.
check out that Smarter Everyday thing. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, Smarter Every Day. Check it out. Leave us a comment. And check out our Twitch channel. Also, go check out Fandom Wire because we're going to be streaming on them. And that's it. Thanks for coming.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.